Alright, so in today's video, we're going to be looking at the AK47 from Modern Warfare and the AK47 from Black Ops Cold War, and the time to kill, recoil patterns, and stats of each gun. I'm also going to be going over how the Black Ops Cold War version of the AK47 changed when it got integrated into Warzone. If you don't know already, all of the stats, recoil patterns, and pretty much everything about the gun are changing as they're getting integrated in the Warzone from Black Ops Cold War. So I did this by hopping into a private match with myself against bots, and I basically tried to my best to line up the bots, shoot them in the upper chest, record how much damage it did, and then I also, for the fire rate, I shot all the bullets out of a magazine and then kind of cross multiplied to see how many bullets it could fire in a minute. But anyway, let's get into it. So for the AK-47, we can see right away that it has a high damage of 43, an effective damage range of 30 meters. This is basically whenever the damage is going to drop off a little bit at a certain range. A fire rate of 614 rounds per minute. I already explained how I did this. And the bullet velocity of 649 meters per second. Alright, so for bullet velocity, I went to the bot lobby that I was talking about earlier, got up on this high tower, pointed at this building, which is about 240 meters away, and then I kind of went, I shot, I looked away really quickly, and I went kind of frame by frame. I'm not sure if you guys are going to be able to see this, but I basically, you can barely see this tracer right here. I just went frame by frame, seen where it disappeared, and aimed down sight speed of 300 milliseconds. Same thing, just kind of went into a video editor and looked at where, frame by frame, how long it took to aim down sight. Magazine capacity 30, reload quickness at 2.23 seconds. This is the time it takes from, not the entire animation, but just from whenever you hit reload to whenever you see the bullets actually pop up in your magazine, and you can cancel the rest of the animation after that. So moving on to time to kill for this gun. It has a very fast time to kill, probably the fastest I've seen from the assault rifles I've done, at about 0.887 seconds. Up close at 6 shots to kill, then it goes to 7 shot at 0.98 seconds, 8 shots to kill up to 1.08 seconds. This is what the graph looks like. There's a 11% increase to time to kill at 25 meters, and then again at 55 meters. Something to note about this graph is that the time to kill is in reverse order, so it's a little bit easier to see whenever you compare multiple weapons, and all you have to do is look at whichever one is on top has the best time to kill. Which is the lowest time to kill or fastest time to kill. Moving on to the recoil pattern here, it has a very ugly recoil pattern. I'll show you a video footage of this later in the video whenever we're talking about Gunsmith attachments for this gun. It goes up kind of in a straight line, which is fine for the first 20 bullets, and then there's this ugly cluster here where it actually comes up here and then curves down and kind of creates this little dipper form, and it makes it very hard to control. That is the only downside about this gun. Moving forward to how this gun was integrated from Black Ops Cold War to Warzone, it got a damage boost from 38 to 43. The effective damage range is a little bit lower, losing 8 meters, but because of this damage boost, it's really not noticeable. The fire rate is improved slightly. It actually might be about the same. This could just be kind of frame rate error, but I believe it is still a slight improvement probably. Bullet velocity got improved. This needed to happen. All of the guns in Black Ops Cold War in their base state have bad bullet velocities compared to that of the guns already in Modern Warfare. Aim down sight speed is the same. Ammo capacity is the same. Reload quickness is also probably the same. The entire animation is probably 2.6 seconds. Whereas, whenever you just do it until the bullets actually fall into the magazine, you can cancel the rest of the reload as 2.23 seconds. Moving on to the recoil pattern, believe it or not, this recoil pattern is actually easier to control, especially because after attachments, this gun turns into an absolute laser beam, whereas on this side, I'll show you later in the video, but even with attachments, this is still very hard to control just because you have to predict when this is going to happen. So if you're pulling down on the right stick, fighting this recoil up, and then all of a sudden it comes down, you kind of have this double negative where you're pulling down on the right stick and the recoil is going down, so it's going to send your aim down quite significantly, especially if you're shooting guys at longer ranges. Looking at time to kill, no surprise here. Whenever this gun got integrated into Warzone, it got a bit better, and so did its time to kill. You can see in red is significantly higher, especially at closer ranges. So when you add those effective damage range attachments, this is pretty much going to turn into a straight line, and it's going to be far better than the best case scenario for what it was in Black Ops Cold War. This is just a quick snapshot of all the data from Black Ops Cold War. If you guys are interested in seeing this video, I did an entire assault rifle analysis of the guns in the multiplayer Black Ops Cold War, which I will link above me. Moving on to the AK47 from Modern Warfare. Similar damage, but slightly weaker, 42. Effective damage range of only 20. A fire rate of only 557 rounds per minute, a very high bullet velocity of 889 meters per second. Aim down sight speed 300 is pretty standard for assault rifles, magazine ammo capacity of 30, and this is one of those guns where the reload quickness does not add up to its animation at all. The entire animation is probably 2.6 seconds, but you can snag those bullets in almost less than 1 second. Moving on to time to kill, it's going to be 6 shots up close, 7 shots at medium range, and then 8 shots at very far distances. 70 meters away is very, very far, so I wouldn't worry too much about dealing with an assault rifle battle that far away. However, it does happen quite often in Warzone, but hopefully you have a sniper rifle. This is what the time to kill graph looks like. Again, time to kill is in reverse order, so whenever it goes down, it's getting worse. 11% increase at 25 meters. And this recoil pattern, it kicks up high, very far, but it's just straight up, so it's very easy to control. You will see later in the video, like I said, I'm going to do gunsmiths for both the Modern Warfare version and the Black Ops Cold War version in Warzone, and I'm going to show like the recoil pattern, what it looks like without me doing anything, with me trying to control the gun. Moving on to the stats comparison of all the assault rifles, I did a video of the XM4 and M4 earlier. I will link that video above me as well, but just focusing on the AK47 Black Ops Cold War and the AK47 from Modern Warfare, you can see that the Black Ops Cold War minus that recoil is significantly better in all areas except for reload quickness. But like I said, these 1 second reloads are likely bugs in the game. I don't know if they'll fix them or not. To be honest, it's kind of like hard to tell unless you do something like this. But whenever the gun actually gets reloaded in game, it's quite different from the animation that you see, making you be able to pull off these very fast reloads. As for recoil patterns go, again focusing mostly just on the AK47 comparisons, but these are here just so that you can see all the other assault rifle recoil patterns as well. I will be adding these in as we do more of these videos. I believe the next video I'm going to do is probably going to be a kilo crit comparison, because they're kind of the same and kind of what people think are going to be like the meta battle in Warzone. But anyways, like I said, this terrible recoil pattern here versus this kind of nice clean straight line, it kind of kicks up a little bit farther on this one, but that's just because it doesn't have this weird dip at the top right here. And then finally, moving on to the assault rifle time to kill graph for every assault rifle. But again, for this video, I'm mostly going to be focused on the AK47. The AK47 from Black Ops Cold War is significantly better than the other assault rifles that we did an analysis on so far in terms of time to kill. It all depends on whether or not you can control that recoil. If you can, this gun's going to be very viable, especially for close to medium ranges. I think that little dip is only going to be an issue at super long ranges. And here is the AK47 from Modern Warfare. In comparison, you can see here the M4 is right next to it. I honestly am kind of surprised. I expect the time to kill for the AK47 to be higher than the M4, just because, lower than the M4. I expect it to be better than the M4, just because, the gun's, recoil. The M4 is a very, very accurate gun. So if you're debating whether or not using this or the AK-47 from Modern Warfare, I would suggest using the M4. However, I did make a loadout that I'm going to show very soon that makes it a viable gun, especially if you're trying to change things up. So moving on to those loadouts. So here we have the Gunsmith loadout that I would use for the AK-47 Black Ops Cold War. The Groove Suppressor, pretty much the monolithic suppressor now. You get damage range and sound suppression. Barrel, I would use the 18.2 inch VDV reinforced barrel because you get effective damage range and additional bullet velocity, whereas these other ones don't really give you both, except for this bottom one here, except you get a worse recoil, both vertical and horizontal. We already know the recoil pattern is bad enough on this gun. We don't need to make it any worse. Moving on, Spetsnaz grip, vertical recoil control, horizontal recoil control, but you do get a penalty on shooting movement speed, but this isn't as big of a deal for an assault rifle as it would be for an SMG whenever you're trying to strafe side to side whenever you're up close against another enemy. And then we have the VDV 60 round fast mag. I do really like this magazine. Very fast reload. Doesn't seem to hurt the aim down sight speed that much. And you also get 60 rounds. So that's very helpful. Spetsnaz field grip, aim down sight speed, which kind of helps counteract the negative aim down sight speed from all the other attachments that we attached, as well as flinch resistance. Something that's kind of important that I'm going to test for a later video is that there is flinch resistance in Modern Warfare, and none of the guns in Modern Warfare have this attachment that helps you get rid of flinch resistance. So I'm wondering how much this helps, but in the meantime, I would trust that it does work, and this is the hand grip that I would recommend for this gun. Moving on to the Modern Warfare AK47 in this version of this gun, I would recommend using the monolithic suppressor. As always, the 23-inch Romanian barrel, which is going to give you your max damage range, max bullet velocity, and max recoil control for this gun. No underbarrel because you're using the Romanian barrel. 75 round drum mags because I think that it doesn't hurt the ADAM sight speed very much. I could honestly experiment and use a 40 round instead just because it doesn't take a lot of bullets to kill somebody with this specific gun. Rubberized grip tape. I like this grip tape for most of my assault rifles, especially the ones that you don't have to use an optic for. This is another one of those assault rifles that has a good iron sight, so I could recommend using that. And because a lot of the attachments don't have a positive to aiming stability, they actually have a lot of negatives to aiming stability, I recommend using the stock, which is going to help improve your aiming stability, especially because you aren't able to use a foregrip, so you're not able to use that commando foregrip, which helps with the recoil stabilization and the aiming stability. For you guys who don't know, aiming stability is basically kind of like your weapon sway, and it kind of reduces the randomness that's going to occur with your recoil pattern as you're trying to control it. So moving on to what the recoil patterns look for these two guns. So the first one we have, this is going to be the base Black Ops Cold War weapon, and there are no attachments, so you can kind of see visually how that dip works. So it comes out quite smoothly, and then there's that awkward little dip right there, and like I said, it's very hard to control. I tested this like a few times actually to make sure it's right. And then here is the Modern Warfare version of the AK-47, and it's straight up. So very easy to control. Here we have the Black Ops Cold War AK-47 with all the attachments from the Gunsmith that I showed you earlier. And then right after this gun, I'm going to shoot at the next wall and try to control the recoil. A quick note, like I said, it's hard to control the recoil on this gun, even with all these attachments, because that dip is still there. And you're going to see that after about 20 rounds, whenever I try and control the recoil, it all of a sudden catches and it dips down, and I have to overcorrect and go back up. So as you can see here, 20 rounds, and the next 10 have that weird little dip, and then right here again, controlling quite well, and then it kind of dips down, and I have to go back up and overcorrect. As for the AK-47 for Modern Warfare with all these attachments, it's very easy to control because it's just straight up. This is me not controlling the recoil instead of straight up, but it's not nearly as high as it was on the base gun. And then going here, I could sit there all day. Very easy to control. With all of that being said, honestly, I'm kind of interested in using the AK-47 from Black Ops Cold War just to see if I can control that recoil and have that very sweet, low time to kill. As for the AK-47 from Modern Warfare, I would probably only use this gun if you're trying to mix things up, just because it's kind of in line with all the other meta assault rifles like the M4, Kilo, and the Grau. With all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you learned something, please give this video a like. And if you want more videos like this, like I said, I plan on doing this for every single assault rifle. The next video I will do that's likely going to drop either tomorrow or Tuesday is going to be over the Krig 6 and the Kilo. Kind of doing a comparison like I did right here. If you're interested in those videos and you want to watch that one, subscribe to my channel. Especially because I'm a smaller channel, it is likely that you're not going to see that video whenever I post it, whereas you would if you were subscribed. Anyway, I hope you guys all have a great day.